Thank you. Michelle, then Ibtisam, then Gabriel.
Hi, Michelle Nichols from Reuters. Thank you for coming to brief us. So is it fair to say, just going on the numbers that you mentioned then, if you were aiming to reach 190 and you're now saying that's 100, so you've halved the number of people that you think you might be able to reach this year? Is that correct?
Well, look, we're still aiming to reach 300 million if we get the funding. We'll reach as many as we can with the funding that we have. But within that group, it's important that we really isolate the life-saving work, the utterly essential life-saving work in the areas of direst need. And those are many of the areas I've visited, from Darfur to Gaza and beyond, of course. So that's what the effort is about. We do an exercise every year that classifies, that breaks down those numbers. You can see it on the website, that breaks down within that 300 million where the direst need is. And so this is really an extension of that exercise, but looking not at the money we would like to raise, and I would love to sit here in a year's time and say we raised that money and we did it all, but the money which we would anticipate raising in the current funding environment.
And did you try and reach out to Secretary Rubio to sort of make the case? What response did you get back? And which countries do you think can even somewhat remotely begin to fill the gap?
So we've been in regular contact with the State Department as it is now, and with colleagues there, particularly over specific programs, specific waivers, but also making that broader case. And I was in Washington a couple of months ago doing that. Where does the funding come from? Now, clearly, we need to broaden that base. I was in the Gulf the week before last, talking to partners there. But I've also been in a number of the capitals of traditional donors, as I was saying to Edith, making that case for maintaining current levels, but ideally expanding. My hope is that the more that we can break down that overall sense of global need, the easier it is to make it simpler for donors to target their funding to the programs that they really want to support. That will be part of the case, that this is part of a much clearer sense of prioritizations, but also that we're making the moves ourselves to improve efficiency and reform the sector. I don't think anyone would pretend that we are perfect, but we're doing this not because, to the earlier question, the Doge and others are looming in the wings, but because we're humanitarians and we want to make sure that the maximum amount of our money goes to saving lives. So the efficiency program I launched on November the 18th, on the first day when I took the job, and this wider IASC, sorry to go back to the acronym again, sector reform program is being led by the agencies and the NGOs themselves.
Are you seeing any increase in sort of grassroots fundraising coming in?
Not yet. I mean, ultimately, I think that will have to be a large part of how we fill the gap. I hadn't planned to go to Davos in my first few months in the job. I thought that was one place that wasn't necessarily on the humanitarian front line. But of course, there's a case to be made to the private sector there. But ultimately, it's why I talk a lot about the need for a humanitarian movement. We've got to get more of a sense of, I think, citizen involvement again in that fundraising effort. And a lot of that means reshaping the arguments, finding that movement once again. And there's a big challenge there. We can't keep reciting the same platitudes or running the same campaigns and hope that we can get back that global attention that is clearly slipping away. We've got to make the case afresh and find new people and new sources of support.